All right, hi guys, and welcome to SLEIGHT Sunday. Now, I know I've been away for a few weeks. Things have been quite tumultuous around here and I've been very busy, so I apologize for being so lax at getting these videos out for you. But I'm back. And today, we're not going to look at a SLEIGHT, really, but at an effect. I've been giving you a lot of SLEIGHTs, and I think that it's time we work on one or two effects, some really interesting things. Now, what I'm about to show you, you can do with a setup, you can do impromptu, any pack of cards. I will show you both ways. The method is essentially the same, slight change in handling, or rather addition to handling for the impromptu version. But it goes like this, and my particular hook is I say, do you know the difference between fate, destiny, and free will? Right? Now, Jay Sankey likes to talk a lot about inlines, hooks, right? Things that get the audience interested. And that's mine. And I think it's really fun because actually, it's funny. Destiny and fate are not the same thing. If you look them up, subtle differences, very, very similar, but not the same. And so I boil them down talking to the participants like this. I say, fate is the acceptance that you have no control. Destiny is knowing you have some control, and free will is being confident in the fact that you have all the control. How would you like me to proceed? So let's assume that they say destiny, and you say, okay, so we both have some control. We're going to start with me having control of the deck getting mixed, but you get to control when I stop. So say stop anywhere. Let's say they say stop here. Say, are you sure? All right. Super fair. Now, I'm going to control what you do, but you get to control how you do it. All right? So at any moment, whenever it feels right, you're going to cut the pack. Now, you can cut some cards off, a little higher, a lot of cards off, lower. You could cut somewhere in the middle. It's entirely up to you. But either way, you're going to cut a portion, turn this portion over, and just drop it back on top. Does that make sense? They say yes. And they can cut wherever they like. So let's say it's here. They turn it over, drop it on top. And I say, all right, now we're not going to use this card because it's the top one. I can see it. You can see it. It's better if this is a mystery. So let's use the cards that you cut to. So now we spread through the pack until we get to where they cut. Okay? Which in this case is here with the King of Clubs and the Three of Hearts. Okay. Now I said, yes, destiny may have allowed us some control, but that doesn't mean that things won't work out the way they're supposed to. And then it matches perfectly. Okay? So you can do this with matching cards, so get them from a different deck. I prefer not to do that. It's very cool when you have the mates anyway. And there are a bunch of different ways you can go about this, plus an additional cleanup handling that we'll get to. Okay? So the first thing that you need to do is pick a pair of cards that are contrasting. So in this case, I'm using King of Clubs, Three of Hearts, King of Spades, Three Diamonds, Black King, Red 3. One of those pairs goes into the box. All right. Now, if you want, you can have these set up on top of your setup. Have the deck in the box, and then as you take the deck out, squeeze, and then just separate that pair from the rest of the deck and leave them in the box as you take the deck out. It's whatever you're comfy with. All right. So those are in the box. This pair is going to be set up on top of the deck in a specific way. So you're going to have one card face down, the other card face up, and then a card on top of that. Okay? Like so. And again, these two cards can be whatever you want, and then just an indifferent card on top. So you start by showing all the cards, super fair. You can even give a little mix at first, maintaining top stock while you're talking, just to sort of condition them to that being a normal action. and you explain the difference. Right? You have your inline, your hook. What's the difference between fate, destiny, and free will? Everybody's interested in that. And you say, which way would you like us to proceed? If they say destiny, then you're good. You say, great, we each have some control. Now, if they say fate or free will, you just act as if that means you have all the control, right? So fate means that you have no control. So I allow them to assume that their answer means I have all the control. I control fate. They have nothing. And then, of course, with the free will, it's the opposite, right? You're giving me all the control, all the free will to do whatever I want. Either way, I say, that doesn't sound very fair to you. I appreciate the handicap, but that doesn't sound fair. Let's call it destiny. And then that way, we get down to that same answer, some control. So I go, all right, we're going to start going back and forth. I will have some control by shuffling the deck, but you get to control when I stop. So you're just going to run cards until they say stop. And because you're only worried about that 3-card stock at the top, they can go pretty far, and it's not really going to matter. But at any point, once they say stop, you're not just going to drop this back here. You're going to rotate. You're going to say here, perfect, and then drop it on top. Now, of course, this was already the top of the deck, but that action of sort of rotating the packet, swinging it over, and then dropping it with finality, allowing that hand to open in that sort of I'm not doing anything position, right? That feels like something happened, right? That I've committed to it. Of course, nothing's changed. Up top, just the rest of the deck has, right? So you maintain top stock, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. They say stop. Say right here, right? As you wish. Now you say, all right, my control, I'm going to tell you what to do. Your control, you get to choose how to do it. And I visually and physically explain the concept, or rather verbally and physically explain the concept of what they're going to do. I'm going to cut a portion of cards. It could be small, large, just take a bunch of cards, whatever you like. And I make sure they know that when I say small, it's very clearly more than just 1 or 2 cards. Now, I've never had someone grab just one off the top. I don't think it would happen, but I make it very clear with that small packet, right? They could take a bunch off the top, a whole lot, some in the middle. It's whatever feels right. Just turn it around and then drop it back on top, right? And I replace it. They need to see what that means. Turn it around, drop on top, because they may not understand exactly. So they're going to cut, turn it over, and drop. Now, you probably recognize that first part as the beginning of the Balducci cut deeper force, right? Where from here, normally you would say, okay, now cut again, cut deeper, then turn it around, and you're forcing the top card of the deck. I liked the Balducci cut deeper force. I've used it for years. A lot of us have. But I really prefer this because it's so fooling. If you know the Balducci cut deeper force and you see me turn it over, then you expect it to happen again. And when it doesn't, that's very surprising. Of course, this is for lay people, not magicians, so they have no idea what this means anyway. They just know they cut somewhere. I say, all right. Now, we're not going to use this card because this is the top card. I can see it. You can see it. It's not a mystery. This really works best if it's a mystery, so we're going to use the cards you cut to. This is one of the cards they cut to, but it is the top card as well. It's a little bit of sort of verbal muddying there, right? So this is the top card, so we're not going to use it. It's the top card now. It wasn't before. So now I very slowly and carefully spread through the cards until I get to my key card, right? Because once I see that, I know the very next card is face down. So remember, the exact spot they cut is here, right? Right here. But that reversed card makes it feel like this is the top of the deck, like this is the portion they cut off. And unlike some other effects where you have a preset card that's supposed to masquerade as the card they put back in the deck or the card that they cut to, sometimes those effects provide this visual that is inconsistent, right? Where the card is really much farther down in the deck or higher than it should be based on where it was logically placed, whereas this, it's only 2 cards away ever. So it feels very accurate. So once I'm here, I take all the cards above my key card and I turn them over, put them underneath. I'm now going to take this card and then turn the wrist, right? Wrist kill as I push out to grab this one and then replace it without flashing that card. Okay, so again, I've put the other cards underneath, like so. So I have now 2 cards here. Now you're going to see me do something a little unusual. I handle cards a little weird. I spread cards from my left to my right, but I can't do a pass unless I spread from my right to my left, and you'll notice I can't even spread the cards nice and curved like I can here. There's some moves I can only do with one hand, some moves I do with both. But for me to clean this up, as I will teach in a moment, I will have to switch hands. You'll see what I mean. You probably won't have to. But in any case, you're here. And I like to say, destiny, as you know, gives us some control. But that doesn't mean, and I take the cards out, showing them the box is empty, that doesn't mean that things won't end up the way that they're supposed to. And I turn the cards over, making sure that they're aligned with their proper card. Excuse me. Make sure they're aligned with their proper card, and then turn them over. And you get this really nice picture, especially if you're playing to a larger audience. Everybody can see this. Whereas if I just turn them over here on the table, it may not be visible to people on the back super well. So I like to make sure everybody knows what's going on here. And then I set them down nice and aligned. You have this final picture. So how do I end this clean if I want to? Well, instead of having this box off to the side over here, I'm going to have it to my right, like upper right, like this. I'm going to switch the deck over to my other hand. This is me. Remember, I handle cards weird. You probably won't have to do this. I'm going to get a break under those 2 cards. I'm going to place my 3, or whatever card is in the hand for you, underneath, like so. I'll give it a quick flash and say, remember, we had a card. And I'm going to go to point to this. And at that same time, I'm going to use the KM move, the Cardero Marlowe move, to steal this card as I point to it. Okay? It's a really cool way of cleaning up, and it's pretty invisible. Say, look, remember we put the 2 cards over here. Or rather, the card box. Excuse me. Let's do that again. I am delirious. All right. Say, remember, we put the card box over here. Now I can just drop these onto the table. This is clean. I can open this up. Again, I've got my cards. Bam, I've got my display. And there you go. Super nice way to clean up. Now, and you'll have to forgive me. I've got a little bit of a cold. I hope you don't mind. Excuse me. All right. So, I said at the beginning of this video that you can do this impromptu. And that's true. It adds a benefit of the spectator being able to pick the cards that you use, that they get matched to. But it just requires a little extra handling. So, let's assume that these are just shuffled into the deck, right? It's just a pack of cards. Say, here, let me have that deck. Let me come back. Say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just touch any 2 cards. Any 2. So they do. Hopefully, they'll pick a contrasting pair. It doesn't matter if they don't, but it looks better, obviously, visually. So let's say they grab this one and this one here, which are in this case a queen of clubs and a five of hearts. From here, I say these are the two you want. You're sure, and at the same time, I'm looking for their mate cards. So the five of diamonds. So you want the five of hearts, and I just put this on the bottom of the deck. And the queen of clubs. I mean, you're sure, right? Although now that I think about it, this is a deck that I used in some street shows, so there are some cards missing, and I know the queen of spades is missing. So I'll grab a different one. We'll say the black 8 here, which coincidentally already on the bottom of the pack. Coincidentally. But in any case, they pick their 2, and you get their mate cards controlled to the bottom, like so. And you say, all right, if these are the ones you want, that's what you get. So let's go into the box. Now remember, I need to get these 2 essentially reversed to each other, like this. And then on top of the deck with an X card, right? So I need to have these, back to back, I should say, back to back and on top. So here's what you can do. You can shuffle them to the top, like so. And you can display the cards, half past this one, right, underneath the spread, run a single card, and now you're good. Okay? Now there may be more efficient ways of doing that for you, and I rarely do this anyway. I'm almost always set up to do it, but if you wanted to, you could. Okay? So again, these are on the bottom of the deck because you've controlled them there. Mixing the cards up, apparently. Show all the cards are mixed, half past that secretly under the deck. Run a single card. Doesn't matter that they see this card because they're never going to see that anyway, not really. And then you're good to go. From here, again, you can show the cards, talk about what's going on, mix, 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 mix. They say stop right here, as you wish. Perfect. I'm going to need you to cut a portion, so they do. And let's say it's quite a few this time, dropped on top. This is the top card, so we're not going to use it. I can see it, you can see it, there's no mystery there. We want it to be a mystery. And let's assume I want to clean up, so that box is going to be here. We're going to go through, and I find my key card. I see it. These cards go underneath. Take this card, and again, if I need to, I switch from one hand to another. Take it and go. Now think about this for just a second. There were a couple cards that you put in to that box. Yes, and it could have been any of these. Now, you cut to these 2 cards, which are crazy because the cards in the box. The 8 and the 5. And that's it. I know that this is a very long video, longer than my videos tend to run. And I know I'm a little out of it. It's the headache and the cold. But in any case, I hope you enjoy it. It's fun. Gets a great reaction. It's simple to do. And I hope you like it. I'll see you next week.